Okay, so I will talk a little also for the new faces. I will talk a little about my new book I just released. The book is Romance. So let me introduce myself for most of you who doesn't know me, and I tell you a little about the book, and happy to answer questions. So my accent, you might notice I am not from New York. I'm from Brooklyn. I am from Argentina. I moved to New York around 5 years ago. I left Argentina 18 years ago. I spent many years between Asia. We're talking about my year in China and Taiwan. Also, I spent a year in India. I spent some years in Israel. I've been traveling around, mostly working as a writer, writing books, especially about spirituality, sharing my spiritual learning, my spiritual travels. So when I was 24 years old, I spent almost a year in India studying with a Bhakti yogi. You know, yoga is a discipline who has different, the Hatha yoga and all the spiritual part. The Bhakti yoga is all the Vedanta, Upanishads, and so on. So I studied with him. We wrote a book. I was very, very lucky. That book was picked up by an Asian. That Asian sold it to the biggest publisher in the world in Spanish, which of course is owned by the biggest publisher in English, which is Random Penguin House. The book was released. It worked very well. And 8 months after, they asked me for a new book. And I was like, oh my God, I am a writer. So I was very young. My dad told me, you are the luckiest bastard in the world. Take this seriously. Start, focusing. Like, focus and work on this. So I spent the next 10 years studying, writing books, and doing book presentations, mostly in Latin America and Spain, Spanish speakers. 2000, we were talking about that. 2014, 2015, I was picked up by a film director from France named Alejandro Jodorowsky. Some people might know him, the director of Holy Mountain, Santa Sangre, El Topo. He told me, I like your books, I want you in a movie. I said, I'm not an actor. He told me, I trust you. I was like, you are talking about millions of dollars of movie. Like, are you sure you want to do this? Yes. I said, okay, let's do it. And the movie went to Cannes, and suddenly I was an actor. And that's how I end up in New York. So now I live in New York. I work in WeWork. I love this place. I'm a big fan of WeWork. And I spend my days mostly in films and movies. That is my introduction. Now, this is my 6th book. The title is Romance. And you know what this book is about, clearly. It's about relationships. And why I write this book? I write this book because all my failures. Because while I was traveling, and thanks God, my work in films and books were working very well, my work in relationships was a big failure. I was failing constantly in my datings. I was failing constantly in my relationships. I haven't been married. I don't have children yet. I hope I will. And I was managing my relationships on an emotional-based reaction, which means my decisions were based on how she was feeling, what she was saying, what she was doing, and I was a constant emotional reaction on what happened to her. And I didn't, I wasn't able to build a healthy, long-lasting relationship. So what I said is, it will not be healthy to say, hey, I have the age to drive a car, I jump on a car and I start driving in a the freeway without learning how to drive a car. Why I am doing that in a relationship? Why I have been jumping from relationship to relationship without having a clue how to build a relationship? Clearly, I am crashing my cars. So I need to study. I went to yeshiva. Yeshiva is where the Jewish people, Orthodox, study with rabbis all day long. It's like a, how you will call it it's like an ashram, or it's like a convent. Waking up with Orthodox Jews in Jerusalem, studying Torah during the day, celebrating with them, and repeat. That were my days almost for 2 years. This is how seriously I take my books. And I study a lot, and then I spend some other years refining this work. This is the book Romance. So the book Romance is what I learned during these years on what is love, what is marriage, what is a relationship, how to build a healthy, long-lasting relationship using the tools I grabbed from Judaism. And this is what I want to share with you. So the idea of the next, let's say, 20 minutes is share you some of the concepts I learned studying, and then open to answer any question and share. Tomorrow I will do a book presentation open for everyone. This one is exclusive for WeWork, but tomorrow we are doing in Williamsburg in Rosa 386. So if anyone likes it, everyone invited. There will be in that one wine, drinks, some snacks. So that is it. So first question, what is love? That is, normally when we talk about relationships, the first association we make is with an emotion, the emotion of love. Because normally when we are in the beginning of a relationship, we think we are feeling love. Also, we talk about love when we are 20 years into a marriage and we are saying love is lacking sometimes. Or what's going on with love is taking a different shapes or forms. So it's pretty good to understand the definition of love and how it works and what are the types of love, to know how to make it grow and when it's convenient and when we need other tools for our relationship. So the word for love in Hebrew is ahava. Ahava is how we call love in Hebrew. The definition of love, ahava, is the emotional pleasure that we feel when we appreciate the virtues in the other. The word love inside has another word. The word ahava inside has the word have. Ahava. Have means to give in Aramaic. The Mishnah is written in Hebrew and Aramaic, mostly in Aramaic. So we know just the definition. Now we need to break down this to understand a little better. Love is an emotional pleasure that I feel when I appreciate the good in the other, and is somehow connected to giving. Let's see the two first examples we know about love when we are children. First, the love from the parents to the child, and the other, the child to their parents. Why the parents love their children? What do you think? Someone is a parent here? No one? Okay. Let's give another example, and we'll go back to the love from parents to children. What's the difference between justice and kindness? Justice normally is tzedek in Hebrew, but I will talk about Geburah, and kindness is Chesed. In Sefirot, in the Tree of Life, we have the first emotional one is Chesed, the second one is Geburah. Let's say I go to Starbucks, I buy a coffee. I pay the coffee, they give me the coffee. That's kindness or justice? That is justice. You know, the symbol of justice is the not blind, a woman covering her eyes with a balance. The idea is a balance, equilibrium. I pay for the coffee, they give me the coffee. That's justice. What is kindness? Kindness is I go to Starbucks, I ask for a coffee, and they give me the coffee. I didn't pay for the coffee, and they are giving me for free the coffee. That is a kind act. Yes, please. When this food, not the ones you are eating probably is justice. Probably you paid for that food. So that there was not kindness in that food. There was only justice. These snacks is kindness. You are not being charged for this. We are giving. So that's the classical difference between kindness and justice. Justice is getting what you deserve. Kindness is getting what you don't deserve. Actually, it's getting more that you deserve. To not being confused with injustice. So, let's go back to the question. Why the parents love their children? Let's measure this in kindness or justice. Is a just relationship between parents and children? Kindness. It's a just relationship. Like the child is paying for the food and accommodation. Of course not. It's an unjust relationship. Actually, it's a kind relationship. The parents give everything to their children. The children doesn't give anything to their parents. Thank you for joining us.
So sorry.
No, I hope we gave you some seconds of insights.
Thank you for
A pleasure. A
Yeah,
pleasure.
thank you for allowing us, and have a lovely event.
Thank you so much.
Sorry to create disruption.
No. Actually,
Oh, that's for you guys. It's...
that is a kind act.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. So the first thing, not only the first thing, like everything that the parents are doing for their children, there is no justice there. Because when you are a parent, you are giving everything to your children, and your children doesn't give you anything. A baby is not giving, like they are reacting and doing things, but they are not, it's not an equal balance. Actually, the idea is that never in life is an equal balance. Of course, when the child becomes an adult, start giving and providing to the parents, but never will be equal because the parents give you life. My parents gave me life, so there is nothing enough I can do for them. Always it will be unjust. Always they will be more in the giving and then I will be more in the receiving. And the parents love their children. They give, and they feel some love. But when you see it from the other point of view, also something interesting happens. The child is only receiving kindness. They feel love for their parents, but they are not doing anything for the parents. Especially when we measure this with children. So we see that this ahava, the giving, is highly involved in the love. But when we measure the love of the parent to the children and the love from the children to the parents, also we find hate. A lot of times, the parents don't feel so much love. A lot of times, a healthy parent is like, it's terrible this. And also happen with the children. A lot of times, the child get upset with their parents. What doesn't happen too frequently is the lack of care. Or to be more technically appropriate, what doesn't happen too frequently is the lack of affectation. What this means. If I feel today bad or well, doesn't affect you too much. You are seeing me now, after you will not see me, and I am not that close to your heart. But if today your parents or your children doesn't feel too well, it affects you a lot. It's very close. So what's the difference between them and me in our relationship is how important we are for each other. I am not that important for you. Your child or your parent is much more important. Here we are going to one of the keys of a healthy relationship. In a healthy relationship, we need to make the other person important in our life. When a person is important in your life, that means that person can affect you. The more important a person is in your life, the more that person can affect you. The less important is in your life, the less that person can affect you. When someone is very important in your life, just a word or an accent or a look can make you happy or upset. Like, if that person who is important in your life is like, you are not feeling the same as if he's like, you know? So we see a lot of affectation there. That person is important in your life and it has influence on you. What happens is when we give, this is what happens between parents and children to parents. When we give a lot to someone, the more we give to that person, the more that person becomes important in our life. Also in the other direction, when someone gives us a lot, the more that person gives us, the more important that person is in our life. And the more important someone is in our life, the more that person affects us. And the more that person affects us, the more that person can provoke on us love or hate. You can't hate someone you don't care. You can play a little that you hate, but someone you care a lot, you can very easily love or hate. Very easy. Because it's so close to your heart that is moving your heart from one side to the other based on what that person does. So when we see the relationship between parents and children and parents, we learn that the first thing we need to do with our couple is to make that couple important in our life. That's the first thing. Because we are ideally in a marriage, that person becomes the most important person in our world. Is the most important person in our life. How we make that person important is in the definition of love. Is when we see the love parent-children, children-parent. Is by giving. By giving, that person becomes more important. By receiving, that person becomes more important. Think about a business, not a relationship. The more you invest in a business, the more you care about the business. If you spend on an idea 1 hour and $10, if the idea doesn't work well, you don't care so much. If you spend in a project all your life savings and 2 years of your life, you really care for that project. It's not the same if that project fails or not. So it's clearly the more we invest our time, our effort, our money, our life into something or someone, the more we care about that thing or that person. This shows us the clear first step to build a healthy relationship. We need to make that person important in our life. And we know how to do it. We have to invest in that person. Time, money, effort, and giving. Now, the more we give, the more we care. That makes us more vulnerable in front of that person, which means we will hate more, love more. What's the difference between hate and love? Love, let's go back to the definition of the beginning. Love is the emotional pleasure I feel when I appreciate the goodness in that person I care. And the hate is that emotional pain I feel when I appreciate the faults on those I care. So it's clearly that here we go to a mental thing, where I put my eyes, where I put my ears. If Like I wake up and I put my attention in how she accommodates the shoes or she takes over the kitchen, and I don't like that, I will feel hate. If I pay attention how much she cares about those things and I see the positive on those things, I feel love. It's just a perspective point of view. The important thing is to care. You know, in couple therapy, one of the first things to see about the couple is if they are fighting or not. If they are fighting and they are really upset, that's a very good thing. That's an excellent thing. You know what's a terrible thing? If they don't care. Because of this. Because if they are fighting, means that the most important thing that is the other person has to be important in your life is accomplished. The only problem is they are focusing in the negative thing. But they are fighting. The fact they are fighting means they are very important to each other. The drama is not fighting. The fighting is easy to resolve. The drama is lack of caring. That's when the couple is in danger. When they are indifferent for each other, it's like, I don't care what she does or what he does. I don't care what she feels. That means they stop giving each other. They stop making the other person important. That's really danger. That means you have to start giving, and receiving. In the fighting, the problem is you are important for each other. The only problem is you are focusing on the negative. And there are a lot of tools to address that. You see it? You know, in marriage, in Hebrew, is the word nisuim. Marriage has two steps. The second one is nisuim, what we know as the ceremony of marriage. Nisuim comes from the word nasa. Nasa means to carry. Nisuim means I carry you in Hebrew. It's very different than the secular or the legal definition of marriage. The legal definition of marriage, if you ask to any lawyer, is 50-50. We sign a contract that we split 50-50 the things, and we are responsible 50-50 of everything, unless we make some special rules. In Judaism, marriage is the opposite of 50-50. 50-50 is justice. Is what we talked in the beginning, I pay for the coffee to Starbucks and they give me the coffee. The problem of justice is that there is no caring. You can go 1,000 times to buy a coffee, that person doesn't become the most important person in your world. Because there is no kindness involved. It's only justice. Justice is okay for business. I give, you give, like we try with your business partner, you try that the balance is equal. If you are giving too much and your partner is not giving so much, you get upset. In relationship, it doesn't work like that. In relationship is I carry you. That's the definition of marriage in Judaism. I carry you. I carry you is 100%, not 50-50. Is I carry you. The thing is, both of them, they jump into the relationship with the idea of I carry you. Both of them is I carry you. The most terrible example, sometimes is the best example, I hope never happens to anyone this, but in the worst case scenario, one of them, let's say she end up in a bed, she can't move her limbs. Terrible. I hope never happens to anyone. I carry you means that the husband is, I will not divorce, I will carry you, I take care of you. I will take care of you the rest of days, every day of my life. Even if this situation. Why? Because that's my commitment, that's marriage. I carry you. in a 50-50 deal, no, that marriage will not survive, because the guy will say, well, it's not fair. It's not fair. She's not giving me anything. I am giving everything. No, I don't want this. It makes sense in a business. Doesn't make sense in a relationship. The thing is to make that decision of I carry you. We have to make sure that it's the right person, and we have to arrive to that situation. To arrive to that situation means to identify that person as the right one, and to invest in the giving, become more vulnerable, and to really connect with the other. Really connect means intimacy, to connect in every sense of the word. Going back to a relationship drama. You are in couple. You told me you have a couple. You know, and you yes. Okay, me neither. So we are quite off balance. I will talk about relationship and a little more also in no, in not yet. There is a word in Hebrew, a classical praying, that is Shema. Shema means Shema is a praying we say almost every morning and evening. Shema means to listen. Also, Shema means to understand. Someone who listens is someone who can understand. Someone who doesn't listen is someone who can't understand. This is very deep, and if we go to the core of this word, we can help a lot the relationships. What means to understand? When we eat this food, you know that food becomes one with your body. Your new nails, skin, organs are made with that food. We eliminate what's not, but every good part of the food becomes our skin, becomes our muscles, becomes our body. That's what we are doing when we make one ourselves with the food, drinks, etc. The ideas, to become one with the idea, we have to understand them. It works the same way as food. When we understand a new idea, this is what we are doing since we are children. When we study and we understand a new idea, our mind becomes one with the idea, and our mind change. It's like body, it has a new ingredient, and is made with that idea. You didn't know math. As soon as you learn math, now you can't not. You know, you need something traumatic to happen to the mind to lose that knowledge. Now you know how to multiply, how to do math, or how to do. This happened with everything. I just told you a concept about ahavah, about giving, about caring, and you have now that information. If you listen to that and you understood that, if you really understood that concept, now your mind with that is one, which means that when you make your decisions, in this case regarding your relationship, you know now that the more you give, the more you care, the more you pay attention to the good things you more love, the more you pay attention to the bad things you more hate. The less you give, the less important that person is. You already have that information, it's done. This is the process of understanding. This is any person who grows in the intellectual activity is trying to understand more information daily to how we understand things. Look what I did until now. What I did is the same thing we do with food. I did the same thing. I broke out the bread. We break the bread. To eat the bread, we break the bread. To eat these snacks, we break the snacks. We break it with the hands, we break it with the mouth, until it becomes in a level that can become one with our body. Same thing happened with the ideas. If I come here and say, Ahava, Chesed, Geburah, bye. You're like, what was that? That was not, I didn't learn anything there. But because I broke, like the bread, I broke down the ideas into pieces, you understand and you make your mind one with those ideas. So let's go back to the word Shema. Shema means to listen, but also means to understand. When we really listen to the other and ask the right questions, we can break down the ideas until we understand those words. And when we understand those words, our mind becomes one with those ideas, and we feel compassion, and we feel understanding, and we have knowledge. So, what is an argument between couples? An argument between couples is both of them saying their point of views and telling the other and understand me, and the other is screaming louder, no, you understand me, and the other, no, you understand me. You see, when we are arguing, both of us, we are giving our point of view, trying the other to understand, and because both of us are doing that, no one is understanding each other. What Shema is saying is listen to understand. If we want to solve an argument, and remember, it is not a fair relationship. It's about giving. It's not about, we can't control the receiving. We only can control the giving. So, and it's not there is no justice. It's kindness. So, if we are having an argument, the kind behavior is to listen, not to speak. So the best move I can do in that situation is to silence myself, to listen what she's saying. You can apply it in the opposite direction also. To listen what she's saying, to ask the right question, to understand her. If I understand her, what will happen? I will know she's right. Because I am getting in her shoes. I am seeing her point of view. If she does the same thing with me, she will see that I am right in my point of view. But it's not about me, it's about the other. It's giving. So what I have to do is listen, ask the right question, break down the ideas, understand. Once I understand, I see and I understand her point of view, I understand her. So I know what should I give her to fix this situation. There is a line my brother told me when I was younger, which I love, which is, what are the best flowers to give to your wife? Her favorite ones. It's brilliant, this quote. I was rose, tulips, this. No, it's when you understand her, you know what you need to give her. Same thing to the guy. And that's when relationships start to improve. When we are giving to the other, giving, and we are taking the time to understand the other. If we are not giving, no kindness, lack of importance. There is nothing there. And when we are not listening, lack of understanding. Lack of understanding, what happened is another amazing example about relationship. Do you remember The Simpsons? Episodes long time ago when it's the anniversary and Homer gave to Marge a bowling ball that says Homer. And he was, this is my favorite thing. And Marge was upset. She was right to be upset. Why she was upset? Because she's saying, you didn't give me this to me. This is a gift for you. You are giving me your favorite flowers, not my favorite flowers. You are giving me what you think is good for me, not what is good for me. What was lacking there is communication, lack of listening. there was this. I will do it quickly. I don't want to take too much time. There was this woman that told me, my husband is amazing. He has a good job. He's a good father. He provides for the family. He's kind. He has a good behavior. He never gets upset. He never does anything wrong. But something is lacking. And when I go a little deeper, I see that there is no communication. The guy was doing everything by the paper, but there was no communication. Of course, because there is no relationship there. Because a relationship starts in the communication, because that's when the understanding happens. So everything else is pretty good, but a key for a healthy relationship is a very healthy communication, which is about listening, about understanding. I want to finish and not take too much more time of you guys. A couple of more things. First, before having a relationship, very important, when I studied this, I realized I was doing my datings wrong. Why I was doing my datings wrong? Because I was answering emotionally to what I felt about that person and never asking the right questions, and afraid. My behavior is, you don't talk about those things. You know, those things are serious conversation for after. The more I learned, the more I understood that the deep questions are the first question you need to ask. You don't need to wait 10 years into the marriage to learn that the other person didn't want children, you want children, and now it's a mess. Those are important questions you need to have in the day one. Same as anything that's important in your life. So for dating, one of the most important things is to identify what's really important in your life and go to the first dating to interrogate that person, because the dating is not about the romance. Romance is about a relationship. Dating is nothing romance. Dating is a business meeting. It's a work interview. If both of us, we are like, let's explore this, we can start growing into everything else. But beginning is a job interview. Last thing, a little spirituality. Why God created the world? Why God created the world? Think about this. What is the first thing that God did for us? We didn't exist and suddenly we exist. Did we do something to deserve to be created? Nothing, because we didn't exist. We can't do something to deserve to be created. We didn't exist, I'm telling you, before being even a spirit, before being a soul, before anything. Which means the first action Hashem, God, made for the human being and for the universe is to create it. That is kindness. It's the same thing we were talking about in the beginning. Which means that something about the romance is in our relationship with God. If God, the first thing He did for us is creating us, and He gave us the possibility of telling Him yes or no, maybe there is a wish of God to have a romance. Because if you think about it, if you own everything, if everything is yours, if nothing exists apart of you, let's say God, what will you feel? If you have the entire building of WeWork for yourself, there is a loneliness there. So there is this idea that God felt lonely. He was like, I have everything, but I don't have anything, because having everything without having someone to share with, there is lack of meaning there. So he wanted to share everything with someone, and I think those are us. There is much more, but in the book, and I don't want to take so much of your time. Do you have any question?
Do you think that that's the reason why Noah was asked to have two of each animal, is so that each animal would run into Ark with their companion?
It's an excellent question. Yes, there are different answers. The most straight answer is yes, of course, because he wanted them to reproduce and repopulate the world. Now let's go to deeper answers. 6 days of creation. Do you remember God created the earth, the sky, the water, he created the sun and the moon, the day and the night, he created the plants, he created the animals, and everything he created, it was in pairs, except one thing. At the end of the 6th day, before the rest, on the 7th day, he created the human being. And in the Torah says, Adam was woman and man. It was both in one human being. It says, it's difficult to imagine, but it says Adam didn't have an unconscious, which means he didn't have a back, or she didn't have a back. It was man and woman, and made at the image and semejanza, we say in Spanish, like in the image of his creator. What is the first thing that Adam said to God? I feel lonely. Same thing that God. He was like, there are plants, there are animals, there are angels, there are stones, but I feel I don't have anyone to share. Like I can share with these things, but I feel it's not enough. And God, what he did with Adam is sleep Adam, split it in two, and create one a woman and man. And they woke up and they say, you have to be with each other. And they felt constantly a lack unless they were with each other, which is what happened to us. We can have amazing friends, we can have amazing family, we can have amazing shows, but if we don't have our other half, something is lacking. If we don't have someone to share, I'm not telling friends, I'm telling someone very deep, close to the heart, what I call the other half, something is lacking. Yes?
Talking about like going into dating with the mindset of it being like a business transaction, like trying to get into those deeper questions right away. How do you navigate that in today's culture of just wanting some casual or hookup, stuff like that? What advice do you give to your friends?
First, I give that advice to me because I did it so wrong so many times. And I used to hurry into the emotional and physical part to see if what's up after. And sometimes I was for a week or 1 month or 6 months, and then I was like, no. Or she was, no. The problem is I was doing the things exactly in the inverse order. The healthy order is up-down, not bottom-up. And understand that God made us vertical, not horizontal. A horizontal is an animal. What means horizontal means the heart and the mind is in the same level. A vertical, a human being, is the mind is on top of the heart, which means the heart is very important, and the other part is lower, which means we start with the mind. To not answer so esoteric and go into the practical, for a healthy dating, the first job a person has to do is first spend at least an hour alone and answer these questions. What's important in my life? What is non-negotiable? What are my objectives? And what are my interests? The non-negotiable is the parts that you are not willing to sacrifice for a relationship. The objectives are what you want to share in a relationship. Sometimes you are willing to sacrifice. The interests you can sacrifice willingly. I give you examples, my examples, but every person is unique. My examples. Fundamental values, children. I want to have children. I don't want to negotiate on that. I'm willing to marry someone who doesn't want. But that's me. Judaism, for me, is part of my identity, my religion. I am a religious guy. So for me, it's very, very important. Not for everyone is. Family. My mother, my siblings, my dad passed away some years ago. They are core of myself. If she doesn't have a good relationship with my family, it's not. And same thing with her. I need to have, for me, family is so important. So I want to have a really good relationship with her family. So I care about her relationship with her parents and her siblings. That's me. Objectives. My work as a writer and film and New York and community, that's part of my objectives. Interests. Food, movies. So I am willing to sacrifice food. 100%, I am not a food guy. What it means, I am willing to eat what she wants for the rest of my life. I have few exceptions. I don't want to eat pork and I don't want to eat like some things, but except those exceptions, you choose. What type of movie we see, you choose. But the fundamentals, I don't want to negotiate. I don't have a lot of fundamentals, but those few, I want really to be in the same page. So once you have those things laid down and you go to a dating, my suggestion is go to check those things, and it has to be a conversation. Don't look for romance in a dating. The romance is for a relationship, and a dating is not a relationship. Which means I don't go on a date at night and I don't go for dinner on a date. Which means I will not produce myself elegantly for my datings is like you see me right now. I go like this, like how I dress every day. And my datings are on a coffee at 5 p.m. or 3 p.m. Why? Because I don't want to confuse myself and I don't want to confuse her. How I used to behave before, I used to produce myself, I used to go in a romantic setting, especially at night. I was not asking any question, actually I was listening what she said and I was answering what I thought she wanted me to answer to convince her that I was amazing. So it was all lies. It was all faking. I was just playing a part to get her. And that's abusive. That's wrong. The terrible thing is that's how we are educated. That's how dating in the secular world is. Most of the dates are at night and most of the guys and girls are faking it to make the other like me. But my objective is not her to like me. Actually, if she's not my wife, I don't need her to like me. And if she is my wife, I don't need to convince her to like me becoming someone else. I just have to be myself, and hopefully she will like me for that. Important about a relationship. What's more important, love or behavior? I give you the answer, behavior, by far. And think about it. Behavior, if someone behaves like a piece of S, but loves you so much, it's a good relationship. It will not survive. The only way to survive that relationship is in a horrible way. If that person behaves well and has a constant well-shaped behavior. And the love sometimes is there, sometimes is there, sometimes is there, sometimes is there. The relationship can survive by far. It can work very well. The thing is, we know the definition of love. We went in the beginning. You want more love, give more kindness, give more good things to the other person, and focus more in the good things. You will feel more love. If you are focusing in the bad things or being less generous, you will feel less love. That's easy. The key is the behavior. And to have a good behavior, that's much more challenging, because to have a good behavior, the person needs to work with themselves a lot to not be a slave of their emotions. Because bad behavior means I am more volatile, means I am more answering to my heart instead of my mind. The challenge is to be cool when things are not cool.
A question
Yeah,
I
of
do
course.
have is, I know you mentioned on like fundamentals, and for example, you mentioned you are a religious person. I'm curious about, I think, based on my personal experiences, seeing how years go by with like my parents, for example, I think maybe what has connected them fundamentally has changed. And that is also a different stage of like romance, I guess, that they have to navigate. But I'm curious, like, in how do you perceive that in regards to when your fundamentals change for you as your or your partner does too throughout the years as well?
It's an excellent question. I see our parents as examples. It's interesting because if I asked my parents years ago, do you love yourself? They will look at me and like, what? What are you talking about? They were not into the self-help, wellness, awareness generation. They were from the tough generation, and they spend their entire life with each other. And when I see them, I see a healthy couple who fought a lot, who has ups and downs, but they spend the entire life with each other. For me, that are examples. I think I grew up a little more selfish because of my generation. One of my big failures in relationships was that I even say this once. It's terrible. Once in a relationship where I said, I am here if I am having a good time. If I am not having a good time, I am done. And I left relationships because I stopped having a good time. That is a prick. That's not a good husband. Because if you want to have a good time, don't get into a marriage, get into a roller coaster. Like a marriage, there is never in the story of mankind, it says marriage equal good time. If you want happiness in a relationship, it's your responsibility to bring happiness to the relationship. If you are expecting the relationship give you happiness, you are a needy person that you don't need a relationship. So sorry, my answer is a little
No,
all over. But so of course the people change. My fundamental values today are more deep and more, because I am speaking from 41 years old and I am not longer the 20-year-old kid. But my 20-year-old kid, if he sit here, he will he's not believing the same thing I believe right now. So it's true. Those change, hopefully for better, and hopefully the evolution of the couple happens with each other. My ex-couple was actually my most successful relationship. We finished when we were talking about engagement because we were not walking in the same direction, but it was interesting. At some point we were seeing we were going to different directions, And I was talking with one of my rabbis about this, and he told me, doesn't matter too much in which floor you are. The important thing is both of you should be walking up the stairs. The problem is if one is walking up the stairs and the other is walking down the stairs, because that in the time can become very far away. But if both are walking up the stairs, they are kind of close. The thing is, this is a fantastic thing of relationship, and it's interesting God created like that. With a child, or with your parents, or with your siblings, it's an involuntary relationship. Like, you can decide how you build the relationship, but you can't stop being the son of your parents. You can't stop being the sibling of your siblings, or the father of your children. You can't. With your couple, you can. So with your couple, you have to make the decision every day, and that makes it very challenging, because it's a different person with different values, with different objectives, with different interests, and you are trying to. So there is a lot of sacrifices during a relationship. Lot of sacrifices. The important thing is, if you are sacrificing not what's fundamental, everything will be right. If you feel you are sacrificing your core self, it's a little more challenging. That's why it's so important to know your core as early as possible.
Yeah, no, that's great. Thank you.
A pleasure.
You mentioned that, I mean, your book is supposed to be about like the Judaism side of romance.
Yes.
What has been
Everything I said is Judaism side, but of course
But-
applies to everyone. It's not only for Judaism.
Well, I'm curious how like the different cultures that like where you've lived have like if they're similar, if they have different takes on romance and love, like your background, like where you're from and
Yeah.
how that culture differs from how the Judaism take on.
It's a very good question, and to be honest, I don't know that answer, because yes, I did other books. Like, for example, I did a book about Vedanta and Upanishads, but it was a book about health, and I did another about the mind, and I did another with shamanism about stories. The thing is, while I explore many different philosophies, when I focus on relationships, I was solo focused Mishnah, Gemara, Torah, rabbis. So I used those tools, and I didn't explore so much on the others. So here I offer this point of view, and the contrast is myself in a secular world, not a religion in particular. It's not Judaism against Buddhism. It's Judaism, and the other side is me in the secular world, where I was driven more by desire, passions, emotions, and not so much thinking. And the funny thing is, I was a successful candidate. I had amazing relationships, but they were a mess. If I see it today, I don't have yet a marriage, I don't have children, and I don't have what I am looking today in a relationship in comparison to what I was before, which was have a good time, but it was empty. Yeah?
Other than the Torah, were there any other Jewish texts, either at yeshiva or rabbis, people that you learned from?
Yes,
that
a lot.
Okay.
A lot.
Or just-
Yeah, and here I am bringing a resume of everything. I use Torah, I use Mishnah and Gemara, which is the oral tradition. I use a lot of shiurim, conversation with the rabbis, a lot, and I even use books of other authors, but the focus was very Judaism, but other authors talking about relationships. But it's not it's not exclusive for Judaism. It's the same thing as when someone studies Kabbalah, not being Jewish, but Kabbalah is a Jewish thing. But they are interested in Kabbalah and say, let's study Kabbalah. Or I study Buddhism, and I am not a Buddhist guy, but I was at some point very interested in Buddhism and say, let's study Buddhism. So this is the same. I am bringing Jewish tools for relationship for everyone. It's not in Hebrew, the book, and it's not a technical thing of rabbis. Yes? So this is it. My book. Thank you so much. I super appreciate you came. Thank you so much. Thank you. There are books. In social media I share a lot of things. If you look in my name, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, etc., I share a lot of content. And tomorrow there will be a presentation at 7 p.m. in Williamsburg, open for everyone for free. If you want to come or invite anyone, you tell me and I share the invitation. Okay?
You might get a WhatsApp from Jordan for that. I'll tell her.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I love Jordan.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you
It was
so
nice
much.
seeing you again.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Are you getting one?
What?
Are you getting one?
Yes, I would love to buy your
Thank
book.
you so much. I appreciate it.
Yay, you did it.
Thank you. I super appreciate the opportunity.